Welcome to our Wednesday evening video for the 28th of June, 2021 from Park Street Christian Church here in El Dorado Springs, Missouri. I'm Pastor Steve Altide. Thanks for inviting me into your home or office. I want to share tonight a little question. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Wayne Smith has been gone a couple years or so now. He was a long time, well-known, very well-loved pastor of Southland Christian Church in Lexington, Kentucky. He used to tell a story of a small church in southern Indiana that had just completed a week of revival services. Seems the church was barely struggling to get by, and they'd scraped together all the funds available just to cover the expenses. At the following church board meeting, right after the revival, a motion was made by one of the members to cancel plans for any future revival since there was only one decision made, and it had been a little boy. The motion was seconded, and there was a instant third as well. Everyone seemed in agreement until one board member stood up to his feet, asked to be recognized, and as he began to speak, he pulled out his checkbook and began writing the check. "Gentlemen," he said, "I happen to think that our recent revival was one of the greatest ones that the little church has ever had. Because of that, I'm writing a check to reimburse every single expense we incurred." You see, the little boy who made the decision during the week was one of my grandsons. That man measured the success of the revival services not by how much did it cost, but rather by whose life was changed. Whose life was changed. That's really the bottom line, isn't it, for what we do, especially in the church. Using that same standard of measurement, I would hope to think that most of our churches would think we've been very blessed over the years with incredible success because of the numbers of people's lives that have been impacted by our different ministries. And because of those lives being changed, they've probably affected other related lives. There's probably been a ripple effect that's continued on and is to this day. One of the things that seems to set most fruitful, growing, healthy, thriving churches apart from others is the people of the church don't sit around and ask how much is it going to cost. Rather, they're asking, or saying, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, that's what we'll do. Once we get to heaven, no one's going to be asking, was it worth it? I guarantee you. I sometimes walk through our church building here and see the names of people in whose memory a stained glass window has been left to their honor, as well as a number of other things in the church. I have mixed emotions about attaching names to stuff like that, but regardless, that's a personal opinion. It's not a test of salvation by any means. But I guarantee you, let's assume everyone who's ever had their name left on a piece of furniture or furnishing of some kind in a church building in their memory, once they've been gone, everybody had good intentions with that, I'm sure. Okay? I'm going to assume they did anyway. But I can promise you this. The people whose names are on those things, if they could communicate one thing to us, let's assume they're all in heaven. Okay? Let's assume they're all with the Lord right now. I promise you that what they're experiencing now would cause them to say, whatever it takes for us here on earth now to do anything necessary to get people to heaven would be worth it. That's a whole lot more important than remembering somebody through a stained glass window or a communion table. All those things are wonderful and useful, but those people, if they could tell us one thing today, it would be you do whatever it takes. If you want to memorize me, you want to memorialize me, you want to honor me in heaven today, much more would I have you invest in life of somebody who's alive who needs Jesus rather than some furnishing, and do whatever it takes, because that's, in the end, that's all that's going to matter. Absolutely. That is all that's going to matter someday, is that we've been willing to do whatever it takes to get people to heaven, to escape the ravaging, unending agony and punishment and suffering of hell. Once we get to heaven, nobody's going to be asking, was this worth it? Instead, we'll be saying, we could have done more. We could have attempted more. We could have reached more. So I want to challenge you, whatever church you're part of right now, will you recommit yourself today that from this day forward, you'll do whatever you can to reach anyone you can with the gospel of Jesus Christ. One thing's for sure, the cost of not doing that will always be higher than the cost of doing it. So let's be a people who live, love, and work and breathe whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.